Good evening and welcome to my state of mind here on WPRI.com as we continue to communicate with you via the website with hopes that we return to original programming at 7:30 on MyRI TV and Fox Providence at midnight sooner than later. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, some terrific shows from the last few years with personalities and interesting stories all this week. In the meantime, we move toward a closer moment to reopen Rhode Island slightly in phase one, where we have some 30 states across the country that have begun to ease restrictions and slow open. Rhode Island is about to become one of them. Of course, Mass is at least a couple of weeks behind this because they've had a whole lot more trouble across the board, and mostly in the Boston metro area and Middlesex County. But we have a situation here in Rhode Island where the governor thinks that we're more or less on schedule to be able to loosen this thing up. It's kind of fascinating. She said that compliance for mask wearing at stores over the weekend was at 95%, that the Department of Business Regulations investigators actually stopped into hundreds of stores and found that to be true. While that is reassuring, I think that number is a little rich. But okay, I'm glad that everybody's getting that done. I certainly support the idea that we're wearing masks, but paying attention to the rules is not something that was happening in Providence very much this past weekend. Earlier today on WPRO, I talked to the Public Safety Commissioner for Providence, Colonel Stephen Perry. He indicated to me that there were some 50 incidents where police had to break up crowds, well, whether it be a basketball game, a soccer game, or just people hanging out on the street corners, in numbers way too many and way too dangerous right now still with the transmissibility of COVID-19. And I asked him, is it something that people just don't get? He said, oh, no, they got it. And thankfully, most people dispersed rather than giving the police a hard time. He also reflected on how hard it is to be a police officer and a firefighter right now. Some 13 police officers in Providence have tested positive. 8 are actually already back on the job. 2 are at home getting better. And a half a dozen firefighters have experienced the same. And so far, so good. Nothing too terrible, seemingly, from that crowd of fierce public servants. But I will tell you, frontliners are worried about this all the time, and it doesn't happen. Look, we had a 75-degree weekend. Saturday and Sunday were gorgeous, and you knew the itch is going to be scratched by people, but you just got to temper yourselves until we get this place where it's more manageable. It's as simple as that. I hate it. You hate it. And I understand we got to reopen stuff. I agree. And I have been very critical of the governor on, I think, some really tunnel vision decisions, one size fits all decisions when it comes to small businesses. It doesn't mean that we don't social distance. It doesn't mean that we don't stay 6 feet apart. It doesn't mean that we don't wear masks. It doesn't mean any of those things. Those things are going to be they're going to be part of our fabric for a time to come. Anyway, the governor is on her track, she said, for an opening on May 8th. And let me just pop in here and take a look. Okay, so retail, pre-order and pickup still encouraged, but people are going to be able to stop into your local store and browse, but at no more than 1 per 300 square feet. Now, a lot of little shops that have 400 or 500 square feet are only going to be able to allow a customer at a time to be walking around the stores. So this is going to be heavily policed. I'm hoping, we'll see about whether the enforcement of this and the execution of this matches the idea of this. In addition, restaurants in phase one, not right away, she says, but a week or so later, are encouraged to open outdoors for outdoor dining. And if you don't have outdoor dining, you're encouraged to use your parking lot. And if you don't have a parking lot, move on to phase two. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. So that's tough news, but a little bit of progress there. And then when it comes to what else, I just want to check these real quick. Oh, office environments. You can go back to the office. But if you've been under a requirement to work at home, you're asked to continue to do so. So if you got to pop in for some paperwork or a quick social distance meeting of some kind, that's fine. But for the most part, professionals and those who can, please work from home, which means you'll probably see me here versus the studio for the near future. Anyway, and then for docs, go back to your doctor. If you've got an appointment that you weren't able to take care of, go ahead and do it. The doctors are going to be open for what would be secondary concerns, and they're going to work on the hospitals this week for, what are the non-essential surgeries, which, by the way, just they're needed. They're just not life-threatening, right? So all this stuff is going to take place for next week, but you should start planning for that, making appointments, and doing what you can with your docs. All right, so that's for the most part what we're looking at phase one, and we'll just have to take it as it goes. The scary number is that what was a 60,000 projected fatality rate for this COVID-19 virus through August is now projected at double that, reportedly by White House sources who understand that the social distancing is going to cost tens of thousands of American lives, because we're probably going too soon. And there has been no referendum, no consensus, no way to touch the psyche of America, other than if you check in at Beacon Hill today, where there was a big protest. And by the way, I support your protest rights. Can you just wear a mask when you're doing it? By the way, the mask is being worn to protect others. I know you're a superhero, those of you who just think I don't have to do that. Just put it on and protect others. I mean, heavens to Betsy. So those numbers are scary nationally, but they are what they are right now, and this is kind of the political consensus until, God forbid, this thing catches fire again, and we've got to pull the whole sucker back. We've got those auxiliary hospitals here in Rhode Island that we're not projected to have to need unless we don't handle the virus well. We'll see. Just pray that the warm weather and the sunshine has some kind of impact on this whole situation. And lastly, it was just those things where you say, I can't believe I'm hearing that or seeing that or feeling that or going through this. I was on a run this weekend in the neighborhood, and I ran by some women who were walking through who I didn't recognize, so everyone's walking a lot lately, so they were walking through and they were chatting. And I'm running by, so not at the speed I used to, but running by. And this one woman turns to the other in the middle of a conversation that I just kind of caught as I was moving by them. She said, "Oh yeah, I'm on unemployment. I'm making more money now than I ever have. I'm on unemployment. I'm on unemployment. I'm making more money than I ever have." That doesn't make any sense. None of this makes a lot of sense. Wash your hands, try not to touch your face, grab a mask, and keep everybody in your prayers. We'll talk to you tomorrow.